There's new reporting that the State Department is investigating an IDF unit for alleged sexual assault of Palestinian detainees. Is that true? And if so, what additional detail can you provide on that? And then separately, just wanted to ask if the State Department is still facilitating flights out of Lebanon.
So on your first question, Nick, I just wouldn't speak to deliberative processes in detail. What I can say is that in any country where we have a security relationship, we of course have processes in place to assess and look at things when certain facts are raised or facts are brought to the United States. In all these places, it's our obligations to do so. But what I can say is that I have no news to share or anything to announce in the context of any sort of policy designation with respect to Israel. And as I said, we wouldn't speak to deliberative and ongoing processes. And on Lebanon, so I appreciate your question. A couple of updates on that. So our most recent U.S. government offered flight was on Thursday of this past week, on Thursday, October 17th, to Doha, and we expect another flight to take place on October 23rd, this coming Wednesday. As many of you who have been following this issue closely, we will continue to organize flights based on demand. Obviously, with the next flight being on Wednesday, we have moved away from a daily cadence, but we will continue to look at what demand is and make adjustments to the contract as we need in either direction. And we'll continue to assist U.S. citizens with seats on commercial flights, which are available daily to a range of destinations. Camilla.
Thanks. Biden's envoy, Amos Hochstein, is in Lebanon. He had said that UN Resolution 1701 is not enough, and that Israel and Lebanon need to be working on a formula that brings an end to this conflict once and for all. Can you give any more details on what he was referring to, whether that's on the ground forces? Obviously, we know he's talking to political figures, and the goal for the US is to get a political resolution, but is he talking more about the immediate term in terms of troops on the ground, forces?
So I think if you look back at Special Envoy Hochstein's statement specifically, what he said is both sides simply committing to 1701 is not enough. And certainly we would agree with that. What we want to see ultimately in any diplomatic engagement is action. And then, of course, in the context of northern Israel and southern Lebanon, what we want to see is the effective implementation of 1701. Of course, a commitment to such a thing would of course not nearly be enough. What we want to see is something in action. But that being said, we are continuing to work with the government of Lebanon, the state of Lebanon, as well as the government of Israel to get a formula that brings this conflict to an end for once and for all. We are ultimately seeking out a diplomatic resolution. Our North Star and our goal here continues to be creating the conditions that will allow civilians on both sides of the blue line to return home.
And can I ask about this Axios reporting earlier today? There was it's reporting that that Israel gave the U.S. a document saying what its demands are for ending the conflict with Lebanon, and part of that document was effectively saying that it can enforce, i.e., target anywhere in the country as part of enforcing what it wants for ending the war. Do you have any?
So I've not seen that reporting, and I certainly am not sure what that document is referring to. Again, in the context of Lebanon, we have been very consistent for many days and weeks now of what it is that we exactly want to see. We, of course, are not being naive about Hezbollah, and they are in fact a terrorist organization, and they have had a stranglehold on much of Lebanon for quite some time now. And so we, of course, support efforts to degrade them, degrade their infrastructure. We want to make sure, though, that civilians are protected. We certainly don't want to see any daily regular strikes of Beirut, and we want to see every possible measure taken to protect civilians. But beyond that, we ultimately want to see a diplomatic resolution, of course, one that is in line with 1701, that we believe will allow civilians to return home. That continues to be our focus.
But the U.S. would not be okay with Israel being able to strike Lebanon.
I just don't want to speculate around the context of this purported document, because I truly have no idea what this reporting is referring to. What I can say now in the context of the ongoing kind of activity is that we certainly don't want to see any kind of daily strikes or action into Beirut. Certainly ones that have the potential to impact civilians and civilians' infrastructure on a regular basis.